Hello everyone, welcome back to Joy's Creative Finger. I've built a cinema as you can see here, and a number of you have requested it, so I think this is the right time to build a cinema because we've just finished the hands-on quest and it was quite useful for some parts of the cinema on the inside anyway. But the luxury living event also gave us Cinematron screens as well and certain items that work well to put a cinema together. Now, what I've done with the exterior is try and create nightlife lighting. When you go to the cinema, you usually go in the evening and you come out at nighttime, and it's quite nice to see the flashing lights, the city lights, and you just feel like you're having a lot of fun, and it's quite nice to look at. So I've dotted around lights here and there from the party time event that we had done a little while back, and I thought it looked lovely at nighttime. And it's also brilliant in the day as well because the colors are still coming through. I have Cinematron TVs on the sides of the front entrance that looks like an overhang, looks like a floating room of some sort. You still can get these looks without the glitch, okay? And yes, I think that it's nice to see what might be showing in the movies, as well as the posters too that are outside, letting you know what's going to show up soon in the year or what's already showing in the cinema right now. These are windows and they are blinds, but they faced outward when you put them down initially. But when you sort of try to edit where you've kept the window, it flips around and gives you the black part facing outside. So once you put it down, you have to make sure it goes right on the wall without you having to adjust it, and you get this side of the window facing outward. This has allowed for the cinema to have a different wall texture on those sides. I love it. And these are sort of the walkways or bridgeways into the cinema rooms here. So when people are walking through into the cinema, you can see them from the outside through those big glass windows. Of course, it's on a massive plot instead of the small ones, and what you have at the back here is doors that are access ways to the staff room where the staff control the cinema screens, and you'll see that when we get into the inside of the build. Now, I have 4 cinema screens. I've got Jason out here who's going to take us around and show us what's going on this evening in the cinema. And we're also going to see a few clips of some films that are showing, so do stay tuned for that. Now, this is meant to be an overhang, and then of course you've got the Scandinavian doors that allow you walk right in, and then you queue up for some tickets for whatever movie it is you want to watch. I've got adults, teens, pre-teens, and yes, they're lining up for films that should be age appropriate for the different ages. And these screens I preferred as service computers for the staff, because the ones for the boutique have them bring out bags and you interact with clothes and the other ones are 2-pattern, the ones for the salon event. So these ones look clean and clear, and it just looks like what I've seen in the cinema many a time, and that's why I set it up that way. And everyone's in uniform, so this is what it looks like when I go to watch a movie anyway. Now, there are restrooms for women and for men, and of course this is a very important part in the cinema. And the first lot of restrooms are for the females with the lilac color here, and access to here is through a corridor of some sort, because you have to walk around the escalator and then file your way through to where the restrooms are. These stall bathroom doors come from the Wedding Bells live event that we had a time back, and they're really useful and they are appropriate for where they are situated in this setting. And this is the male toilets over on the side here. My son said to me, "Mom, you need to put in urinals." I've never been into the male toilet, so I wouldn't know. So he told me exactly where they go, but I gave it up. But what you have here is the area where the staff would stand and check your tickets and say to you, "Oh, you're in screen 1 or you're in screen 2. But it's an auction podium. But that's exactly the sort of thing they stand at, and basically making sure that no one wanders through without a ticket, because people try to do that, unfortunately. Now, in this cinema screen 1, I have the red chairs set out this way. It's half an arch. Well, not half an arch, half of a circle. And you know, because I realized that if you keep the seats together right in front of each other, a sim won't be able to sit on it. And so I creatively decided that if I set the chairs out in half of an oval facing the screen, I could then decide that it was a VIP premiering screen. Well, all 4 screens in the cinema anyway. So there wasn't anyone really in front of the other while they were able to watch in these really nice comfortable chairs. Now I'm just going to get another sim to sit down here and interact with my pregnant sim, who, by the way, I realized they can do a little bit more than they used to when the pregnancy update came out, but they still can't interact in certain ways. This door here leads into the staff room area, where you have staff controlling what's on screen, and they also control a CCTV camera, and I'll show you that in a second. But her screen reflects exactly what you see on the main screen for the viewers. And this is basically where they would be able to peep in and still see what's showing right there. I have seen them on occasion when I go to watch a film. I'm always curious like that. Now I have a CCTV camera over on the side here, and you have to imagine that it swivels around and the lady in the office can control it. And the reason for the CCTV, and this is true, is to watch and see if anyone is recording the movie, which is not allowed. It's a copyright infringement. So there are a lot of pirates in the cinema, and they try to stop that sort of thing. Now the screen over here is exactly the same, but I've used the black seats in here. And now you're wondering about the fact that I have the blue setting in this space. Originally I didn't know that with a hands-on device you could select what room would be shaded a different color, and so I'm quite happy that this works this way. Someone told me about it online and I was able to arrange the different colors in that way. Now let's go upstairs with this sim to where you get your popcorn, your sugar rush, your ice cream, and so on. So once he comes up the escalator, he sees this beautiful sort of food decorative item on the side here that, you know, begins to warm up your juices, thinking, oh, there's food up here. So I thought it would be nice to have it there. It's also on the other side of the escalator, just in the corner here, and this is basically the floor where you come and eat, get your food, and go into the other cinema rooms up top here as well. Now I've set everything out the way I believe it works in the cinema that I have attended, and I have set out party fries, but I would see them as nachos. Nachos and dips, simply because, you know, the party fries have a little sort of what's it called, they've got let's have a look at those. They've got like a ketchup dip in the middle, but you have to think that that's the nacho dip, right? So they've got those, and let me see, do I have anyone else? Okay, let's just get on with it. We've got the drinks up top here, slushies and so on. You've got the popcorn. I didn't set the popcorn out in front because it's something that the staff, you know, obviously would take care of and give you what you need, whether it's salty or sweet, or you can have a mixture. But the staff here is not supposed to eat that, so he needs to stop that right away. And then we have hot dogs, which is again the main meal that you get in some of the cinemas that I've attended anyway. So I have a good display of them here. We don't have a real hot dog machine, so I have those set out here, and this is basically where they come up and have something to eat. Go back down the escalators to screen 1 and 2, or go up to screen 3 and 4, which is upstairs anyway. Now I'm going to get the sim to come up into this screen here. It's the same as is downstairs, and I also have the exact same arrangement for all cinemas, and we have the same thing over on the side. Down the end we've got staff here. On this end we've got the CCTV camera that they're using to control the screens, and it's exactly the same here as I said a minute ago. So I believe you've seen exactly how this is all laid out, and it's realistic in my opinion anyway. You can let me know what you think. Of course there are a lot of things that could be included, but one thing I did include was this pizza space. Because of the tiny little pizzas that we have in the section, I felt that I would create a pizza planet area, and I used brick because it just felt like it was the right wall for this area, and I placed the pizza oven in here, and then I had him dress up like an Italian of some sort. And then you can sit down here and order yourself a little mini pizza. There are some cinema complexes you go to, and it's not just the popcorn that's up for serving. You have different food stores, little mini food stores here and there to serve the people who are here to watch movies and be thoroughly entertained. Right, so this is basically the overview of everything here. Let me just stop her from eating and show you how you have access into the upstairs staff room here. So this is what you saw on the outside. You walk across this way, and only staff can go through that door and into the staff room here to the control room for that cinema screen. The setup is a lot different downstairs. You have the door into the staff room on the inside, as you can see, but upstairs we have the balcony that leads into the staff room upstairs. Now, there are 4 films showing in my cinema in the 4 screens, and we're going to have a very quick look at what those movies are. Some have already seen them and some are still watching. I go to the movie certainly to watch new movies, but in this screen we are watching the story of a lady who had fallen in love with a fairy, and she ended up having a fairy baby, and so she ran away and abandoned the child. And then in the other cinema screen downstairs we have the story of, which is quite popular, Cinderella and the pregnancy and her lovely time that she had prior to giving birth, which was quite lovely and relaxing. If you've not watched it, go ahead, it's on the channel. And then in the other screen they are watching the story of the king who was completely lustful, saw a woman taking a bath and took her to be his own, even though she belonged to someone else who was a warrior in his army who was at war at the time, and he decides to take his wife to become his own, even though he had 1,000 wives also. I suppose 1,000 wives wasn't enough, and in the last screen we have the story of the incessant fire that was set by a housemaid, and it's unfortunately burnt a beautiful chateau all the way down to the ground, and everything they had done to try and stop this fire, was just useless. The chateau was never ever going to be saved by those efforts. So these are the 4 films showing in the cinema at the moment, and you can watch the full stories in Joy's Backstory House Tours playlist on the channel, and I will see you again soon. Bye!